The chime of the doorbell is a clean, simple sound. 2 notes, a perfect fifth apart. A sound I've always associated with happiness. Friday night dinners. Packages with silly things we ordered online. Friends arriving with bottles of wine. But tonight, that simple chime feels like a crack of thunder in the unnerving silence of my home. It splits the air. It splits my life. My hand is on the doorknob, the brass cool against my palm. On the other side of this door are John and Mary, my husband's parents, who are more my parents than my own have ever been. And my husband, Mark. He was supposed to pick them up and be here 10 minutes ago. I've been roasting a chicken, its skin a perfect, crackling gold. The scent of rosemary and garlic fills the house, a scent that smells like love, like family. I take a deep breath, paste on a smile I don't quite feel. I've been on edge all day, a low hum of anxiety buzzing just beneath my skin, and I pull the door open. And the world stops. It's not just John and Mary, their familiar, kind faces already lit with smiles for me. It's not just Mark, standing a step behind them, his hand resting on the small of someone's back. It's the someone, a woman, young, maybe 25, with hair the color of burnt honey and a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. She's wearing a dress that's a little too tight, a little too short for a family dinner. She's looking at my house, our house, with an expression of appraisal, as if she's measuring it for new curtains. Mark's hand is on her back. The smiles on John and Mary's faces falter, then melt away completely, replaced by a confusion so profound it looks like pain. Mary's eyes, the same deep blue as her son's, dart from the woman, to Mark's hand on her back, and then to me. In them, I see a question. I see an apology. I see the beginning of a nightmare. John, a man who is never at a loss for words, opens his mouth and then closes it. The silence stretches, thin and fragile. The scent of roasted chicken suddenly seems nauseating. Mark finally speaks, and his voice is a stranger's. It's thin, reedy. Clara. Honey. This is Amber. She's a new colleague from the office. I thought it would be nice for her to join us. A colleague. The lie is so insulting, so transparent it's like a slap. My smile doesn't drop. It freezes. It becomes something brittle, something sharp. I look at Amber, at her cheap perfume trying and failing to mask the scent of ambition. I look at my husband, the man I have loved for 10 years, the man whose child I have dreamed of carrying, and I see nothing I recognize. And I look at his parents, their faces pale with a dawning, sickening horror. They know what this is. And they know that I know. Everything goes quiet. The cheerful sound of the simmering gravy on the stove, the gentle hum of the refrigerator, the distant traffic, it all fades to a dull roar in my ears. The only thing I can feel is the cold brass of the doorknob under my hand and the splintering of my own heart. If you've ever felt the world tilt on its axis, if you've ever had a single moment slice your life into a before and an after, let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. It helps me share these stories and reminds me that none of us are ever truly alone in the wreckage. Just this morning, the world was solid. This morning, I woke up wrapped in Mark's arms, his steady breathing a comfort against my back. The sun was streaming through the bay window of our bedroom, painting golden stripes across the hardwood floors we'd spent a month refinishing ourselves. We'd laughed, covered in sawdust and varnish, dreaming of the children who would one day leave their tiny scratches on our perfect work. This house was our sanctuary, every corner filled with a memory. The scuff on the wall in the hallway from when Mark tried to carry in the ridiculously oversized armchair he'd insisted we buy. The faint wine stain on the living room rug from a New Year's Eve party 2 years ago. The pencil marks on the kitchen doorframe, measuring the heights of our nieces and nephews. It was a house built not just with wood and nails, but with shared dreams. Our business, an architectural design firm we started from nothing in our tiny apartment kitchen, was finally thriving. Manning and Cole Designs, his name and my maiden name. A partnership. We were a team, in life and in work. I handled the clients and the interiors. He was the visionary, the one who could see cathedrals in empty lots. People said we were the perfect couple, a perfect team. I believed them. I believed in the life we had so carefully, so lovingly constructed. My relationship with his parents was just as foundational. Mary taught me how to make her son's favorite lemon meringue pie, her hands guiding mine over the dough. John, a retired history professor, would save newspaper clippings for me about local historical buildings, knowing my passion for preservation. We weren't in-laws. We were family. When my own mother passed away 5 years ago, it was Mary who held me, who let me cry until I had nothing left, who brought me soup and sat with me in silence when the grief was too big for words. They were my anchors. The Friday night dinner was our sacred tradition. It started when we were still dating, a way for them to get to know me. It continued through our engagement, our marriage, our struggles with starting a family that hadn't yet come to fruition. Every Friday, without fail. It was the one night of the week where work was forbidden, where we just existed as a family. Lately, though, Mark had been distant. Working late, his phone always buzzing with messages he'd angle away from me. "It's just a big project, Clara," he'd say, his eyes tired. "A legacy project. It's going to set us up for life." I'd rub his shoulders, bring him tea, and try to soothe the stress from his brow. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? Stress was part of the job, part of building an empire. The distance, the secretive calls, the faint, unfamiliar floral scent on his jacket last week. I had explained it all away. I had built a fortress of denial around my heart because the alternative was unthinkable. He had called me this afternoon. "Hey, I'm leaving the office now to pick up Mom and Dad. We'll be there around 7". His voice was normal. Cheerful, even. There was no hint of the betrayal he was about to wheel onto our doorstep. No tremor of the guilt that should have been choking him. Now, standing in the doorway, the memory of that call feels like a shard of glass in my gut. He wasn't just bringing his parents. He was bringing her. He was bringing his other life into mine, into our home, on our sacred night. He was trying to merge two worlds, and in doing so, he was detonating the one we shared. The silence at the door finally breaks. I step back, my movements stiff, robotic. "Please," I say, my voice a hollow echo of itself.
"Come in."
Dinner is almost ready. My mind is screaming, a wild, panicked animal caught in a trap. Throw them out.
Scream. Weep. Collapse.
But my body moves on autopilot. The hostess. The good wife. The perfect daughter-in-law. I can feel the four of them watching me as I walk back towards the kitchen, my spine ramrod straight. It's the longest walk of my life. Each step is a lifetime. I can feel Mary's heartache following me like a shadow. I can feel John's quiet fury. I can feel Amber's smug, triumphant gaze on my back. And I can feel Mark's pathetic, cowardly fear. In the kitchen, I grip the edge of the marble countertop, my knuckles turning white. The warmth of the oven is a stark contrast to the ice flooding my veins. I need to breathe. Just breathe. One breath in, one breath out. But the air is thick with the smell of rosemary and betrayal. I hear their footsteps in the dining room. The scrape of chairs as they sit at the table I so carefully set an hour ago. The good china. The linen napkins. The candles I was about to light. It feels like a stage set for a tragedy. And I am the star, whether I want to be or not. I decide, in that moment, gripping the cold marble, that I will not be the one to break. I will not give them the satisfaction of my tears. Not her. Not him. If he wants to play this game, I will play it. I will be the most gracious, the most charming, the most perfect hostess he has ever seen. I will serve them this meal, and I will make them choke on every single bite. I turn from the counter, my face a mask of serene composure. I pick up the platter with the roasted chicken. It's heavy,
solid, real.
And I carry it out to the dining room, back to the war zone he has created at my table. The atmosphere in the dining room is thick enough to drown in. John and Mary are seated opposite each other, their posture rigid, their faces etched with a deep, pained discomfort. They won't look at Mark, and they can barely look at me, their eyes filled with a helpless sorrow. Amber is seated to Mark's right, a little too close, her knee occasionally brushing against his under the table. She's looking around the room with a proprietary air, taking in the framed photos on the sideboard. Photos of Mark and me.
On our wedding day.
On vacation in Italy. At Christmas with his family. Her eyes linger on them, a flicker of something, smugness, jealousy, before she dismisses them. I place the chicken in the center of the table. The silence is broken only by the clink of the heavy ceramic platter against the polished wood. Mark, I say, my voice unnervingly calm. Would you like to carve? He flinches, startled by the directness. He wanted me to scream, to make a scene. That's a script he would know how to handle. He could play the beleaguered husband, the misunderstood man caught between a hysterical wife and a supportive colleague, but my calm? My politeness? It throws him completely off balance. It's a language he doesn't speak.
Sure.
Of course, Clara, he stammers, picking up the carving knife and fork. His hands are unsteady. He makes the first cut, and it's clumsy, tearing the perfect, crispy skin I worked so hard on. I pass around the side dishes. The garlic mashed potatoes. The honey-glazed carrots. The green beans with toasted almonds. I do it with a smile. Mary, let me get you some more wine, I offer, already reaching for the bottle. She gives me a weak, grateful smile, her eyes thanking me for the brief reprieve, for the illusion of normalcy. Amber holds out her glass. I'll have some of that, she says, not to me, but to the room at large. Her voice is bright, brittle. I pour the expensive Cabernet we'd been saving for a special occasion into her glass, my hand perfectly steady. I don't spill a drop. The conversation, or what passes for it, is excruciating. John and Mary try to talk about safe things. The weather. A book John is reading. Their neighbor's new puppy. But every topic dies a quick, painful death, suffocated by the tension in the room. Amber, however, seems to feel no such restraint. She wants to establish her territory. Mark tells me you two started the firm from your kitchen, she says, looking at me, but really speaking for the benefit of his parents. It must have been so quaint. Things are so much more professional now. We just landed the Kensington Tower contract. Mark was the genius behind the pitch, of course. He's been working day and night on it. She says it with an easy intimacy that is meant to gut me. And it does. The Kensington Tower project was my baby. I brought in the client. I spent months on the preliminary research, the community consultations. Mark and I had pulled all-nighters together, sketching and planning. Now she's claiming it. She's erasing me from my own story. I see a flash of anger in John's eyes. He knows how much that project meant to me. He's about to speak, to defend me, but I give him the slightest shake of my head. Not yet. I just smile. A small, tight smile. Yes, I say, my voice is smooth as silk. Mark is very dedicated. I look directly at my husband. His face is pale. He's sweating under the warm lights of the dining room. He refuses to meet my gaze, focusing intently on mutilating the chicken on his plate. The meal drags on. Every bite I take feels like swallowing sand. I am acutely aware of everything. The way Amber places her hand on Mark's arm when she laughs at something he says. The way he flinches, but doesn't pull away. The way his mother watches this exchange, her fork frozen halfway to her mouth, a look of pure disgust on her face. I am operating on some primal level of survival. The pain is a physical thing, a giant fist clenched around my heart, but I have pushed it down, locked it away in a box for later. Right now, there is only the performance. The perfect wife. The gracious hostess. I ask Amber questions about her work, her background. My interest is so keen, so genuine sounding, that it makes her uncomfortable. She was prepared for a fight, for tears. She wasn't prepared for polite interrogation. Her answers are vague, full of buzzwords and empty corporate jargon. It becomes clear she has no real substance. She is a shiny, hollow thing. Finally, mercifully, the meal is over. That was a lovely dinner, Clara, Mary says, her voice thick with unspoken emotion as she helps me clear the plates. In the kitchen, away from the others, she grabs my arm. Her eyes are swimming with tears.
Clara, I am so sorry.
I had no idea. He told us he was bringing a new junior architect. If I had known. It's not your fault, Mary, I whisper, my own composure cracking for just a second. I squeeze her hand. Don't worry. I'm okay, it's a lie, but it's the only thing I can offer her right now. When we return to the dining room, Amber is showing Mark something on her phone, their heads close together. John is standing by the window, his back to the room, his shoulders stiff with rage. Well, John says, turning around, his voice like gravel. I think it's time Mary and I were heading home. The relief is so immense it almost brings me to my knees. Mark jumps up, eager for the evening to end. I'll walk you out, he says. At the door, Mary pulls me into a fierce hug. You are so strong, she whispers in my ear. Call me. Anytime. Day or night. John just looks at me, his face a mask of regret and fury. He puts a hand on my shoulder. Clara, he says, and that's all. But in that one word, I hear everything. I hear his shame for his son. I hear his love for me. Then they're gone. And I am left in the house with my husband and his mistress. The front door closes, and the silence that descends is different. It's not the tense, awkward silence of dinner. It's the heavy, suffocating silence before a storm breaks. Amber is still standing there, a smug little smile playing on her lips, as if she has just won some great victory. Mark won't look at me. He's staring at the floor, at his shoes, at anything but the woman whose life he has just publicly shattered. I think, I say, my voice dangerously quiet, it's time for you to leave. I'm looking at her. Amber. Her smile falters. She looks at Mark, expecting him to defend her, to put me in my place. Clara, don't. Mark begins, his voice pleading.
Get out.
Of my house, I repeat, each word a chip of ice. My gaze is fixed on her. I don't acknowledge him. He is a ghost in the room. Her face hardens. The faux sweetness is gone, replaced by a sharp, ugly defiance. You can't talk to me like that, she says. Mark and I. There is no Mark in you. I interrupt, my voice dropping even lower. There is only a man who made a pathetic mistake, and a girl who is about to walk out that door.
Now.
She looks at Mark again, her eyes demanding he do something. And in that moment, I see the full extent of his weakness. He is a coward. He can't stand up to her, and he can't stand up to me. He just stands there, paralyzed, a pathetic monument to his own infidelity. I take a step towards her. I don't raise my voice. I don't have to. I will not ask you again. Something in my eyes, some cold, dead thing she has not seen before, finally gets through to her. She grabs her purse from the chair, her movements jerky and angry. She throws a venomous look at Mark. Are you just going to let her speak to me this way? He says nothing. She lets out a bitter, humorless laugh. Unbelievable. She yanks the front door open and storms out, slamming it so hard the wedding photo on the wall rattles in its frame. And then there were two. The silence returns, heavier than before. It's just me and Mark in the hallway of our home, a home that suddenly feels alien, tainted. The smell of roasted chicken and rosemary is gone, replaced by the lingering scent of her cheap perfume. He finally looks at me. His face is a mess of guilt and fear. He looks like a little boy caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Clara, he says, his voice breaking. I am so sorry. I never meant for you to find out like this. The sheer stupidity of that sentence hits me like a physical blow. Like this? I ask, my voice trembling with a rage, so profound it feels like it could liquefy my bones. You mean you never meant for me to find out at all? Or you just had a more civilized reveal planned? Maybe an email? A PowerPoint presentation? How, exactly, did you mean for me to find out, Mark? It's not what you think, he says, the classic, pathetic refrain of the unfaithful. She doesn't mean anything. It was a mistake. A mistake? I laugh. A harsh, ugly sound that tears from my throat. A mistake is taking the wrong exit on the freeway, Mark. A mistake is buying whole milk instead of skim. You don't accidentally have an affair. You don't accidentally bring your mistress to a family dinner in the home you share with your wife. That's not a mistake. That is a series of 1,000 deliberate choices. That is a plan. I was going to tell you, he insists, taking a step towards me. I take a step back. The thought of him touching me right now makes my skin crawl. When? I demand. When were you going to tell me? After you had successfully installed her into our life? After you had paraded her in front of your parents? Did you think they would just accept her? Did you think I would just, what? Vanish? No, of course not. I love you, Clara. The words are poison. They curdle in the air between us. Don't, I whisper, the rage suddenly draining away, leaving behind a vast, empty coldness. Don't you dare say that to me.
Not now.
Not ever again. You don't know the first thing about love. Love is not this. Love is not humiliation. Love is not bringing a stranger into our home to measure it for new curtains. He has the decency to flinch.
He knows I saw her. He knows I saw everything.
I want you to pack a bag, I say, my voice flat, devoid of all emotion. And I want you to leave. Clara, please, he begs, tears welling in his eyes. Let's just talk about this.
We can fix this.
I know we can. There is nothing to talk about, I say. And there is nothing to fix. You took a sledgehammer to our life, Mark. You can't glue the pieces of that back together. Now get your things and go. He stands there for a long moment, his face crumbling. He sees it in my eyes. The finality. The absolute end of us. He thought I would cry, scream, throw things.
He was prepared for that.
He was not prepared for this. This cold, quiet emptiness. This utter dismissal. He turns, defeated, and slowly walks up the stairs. The stairs we climb together every night. I listen to the sounds from our bedroom above. The opening of drawers. The zip of a suitcase. Each sound is a final, brutal punctuation mark on the end of our marriage. I don't move from the hallway. I just stand there, surrounded by the ghosts of our life together. The house feels huge, empty. A mausoleum. When he comes back down the stairs, bag in hand, he stops in front of me. Where will I go? He asks, his voice small. I'm sure Amber has a couch, I reply, my voice like ice. He looks at me one last time, his eyes pleading for a reprieve that will not come. Then he turns, opens the front door, and walks out into the night, closing it softly behind him. The click of the latch echoes in the silent house. And I am alone. For a long time, I don't move. I just stand in the hallway, staring at the door. Then, my legs give out. I slide down the wall until I'm sitting on the cold hardwood floor, and I finally let myself break. The sobs come from a place so deep inside me I didn't know it existed. They are raw, animal sounds of grief and pain, and a rage so pure it burns. I weep for the man I thought I married. I weep for the future we were supposed to have. I weep for the woman I was this morning, so full of hope and love, a woman I will never be again. I cry until there are no tears left, until my body is just a hollow, aching shell. The days that follow are a blur of gray. I move through the house like a ghost, the silence a constant, oppressive companion. Everything is a reminder. His coffee mug still next to the sink, his book on the nightstand, a bookmark holding his place. The scent of him that lingers on his side of the bed. I strip the sheets, wash them twice, but I can still smell him. Or maybe I just imagine it. Mark tries to call. Dozens of times. Then the texts start. Long, rambling paragraphs of apology and justification. It was the pressure of work. I felt so lost. She was just there. It meant nothing. Please, Clara, we can't throw away 10 years. I read the first few, then I block his number. Each word is a fresh cut, twisting the knife of his betrayal. Mary calls every day. I let it go to voicemail. I know she means well, but I can't talk to her. I can't hear the pity in her voice. I can't be the strong one for her right now. I have no strength left. I don't go into the office. I can't. I can't face the space we built together. I can't face the sympathetic, or worse, curious, stares of our employees. I can't risk seeing her. So I stay home, wrapped in a blanket on the couch, watching the dust motes dance in the slivers of sunlight that pierce through the drawn blinds. I am adrift in a sea of grief. But then, after a week of this numb, gray existence, something shifts. It starts as a tiny spark in the cold emptiness of my chest. Anger. A cold, hard, clarifying anger. It's not the hot, messy rage of that first night. This is different. It's focused. It's quiet. It's fueled by the audacity of his betrayal. He didn't just cheat. He tried to humiliate me. He brought her into our home, to our family table. He tried to stage a quiet coup, to replace me piece by piece, hoping I wouldn't notice until it was too late. He underestimated me. He saw my love and my kindness as weakness. He thought I would crumble. And I did.
For a while.
But he forgot what I was made of. I am the daughter of a woman who raised 2 kids on her own after my father left. I am the woman who worked 3 jobs to put herself through design school. I am the woman who built a multi-million-dollar business from a sketchbook and a dream. I am not a victim. The grief is still there, a heavy stone in my gut. But now, it has a companion. Resolve. I get up from the couch. I open the blinds, letting the painful, bright sunlight flood the room. I walk into her home office, the one I haven't been able to set foot in for a week. I sit down at my computer.
I don't look at the photo of us on the desk.
I move it, face down, into a drawer. I open our company's financials. I open our shared bank accounts. My hands are shaking, but my mind is sharp. I need to know the extent of the damage. I need to see the full picture of his deceit. And so, I begin to dig. The numbers on the screen tell a story more sordid than I could have imagined. It's not just an affair, it's a systematic plundering. For the last 8 months, Mark has been bleeding our company dry. Credit card statements show lavish dinners I was never invited to, 5-star hotel stays in cities we had no business in, jewelry from stores I've only ever window shopped at, a down payment on a lease for a luxury apartment in a new downtown high-rise. An apartment I now realize was meant for him and Amber. He was using our shared money, the money I worked my fingers to the bone to earn, to build a new life behind my back. Each transaction is a new betrayal, a new lie. The business trips to Chicago and Miami. The client dinners that ran into the thousands of dollars. The new software purchase that was actually a payment to a boutique for a designer handbag. It's all there. A digital breadcrumb trail of his infidelity. The anger solidifies into something cold and hard. This is no longer just about a broken heart. This is about my life's work, my future. He wasn't just trying to replace me in our home. He was trying to erase me from our business, the business that bore my name. I pick up the phone and call a name I got from a friend of a friend. A name whispered in tones of reverence and fear. Eleanor Vance. The most ruthless divorce attorney in the city. Her office is the opposite of ours. Ours is warm, full of natural wood, light, and collaborative open spaces. Hers is a fortress of steel, glass, and black leather. It's designed to intimidate. Eleanor herself is intimidating. A woman in her late 50s, with sharp eyes that see everything and a smile that doesn't reach them. She looks like she eats men like Mark for breakfast. I lay it all out. The dinner. The affair. The financials I've printed and organized into a neat, damning stack. I speak without emotion, my voice steady. I present the facts, one after another. She listens, her fingers steepled, not interrupting once. When I'm finished, she looks at the files, then at me. He's arrogant, she says, her voice a low purr. And sloppy. That's good for us. The spending is clear grounds for dissipation of marital assets. We can claw a lot of this back. But he's the lead architect, the public face of the company. His name is on the door. He'll argue that the firm's value is tied to him. He'll try to buy you out for a fraction of what you're owed. The firm is half mine, I say, my voice hard. I built it with him. My name is Cole. Manning and Cole. I know, she says, a flicker of something like respect in her eyes. But the courts can be a blunt instrument. He'll try to paint you as just the wife, the interior decorator. It will get ugly. He will try to destroy your reputation. The thought makes me sick, but I don't let it show. What do you suggest? We need more, she says. Something he can't spin. Something that proves a deeper level of fraud, not just infidelity. Something that gives us leverage to take not just half, but all of it. All of it. The thought is both terrifying and exhilarating. To take back everything he tried to steal from me. I'll hire a private investigator, she continues. Let's see what else our Mr. Manning has been up to. In the meantime, go back to the office. Act normal. Do not let him know you've hired me. Do not let him know you've seen the financials. Let him think you're just a heartbroken wife, ready to roll over. The more he underestimates you, the better. Leaving her office, I feel a strange sense of calm. I have a plan. I have an ally. The game has changed. The next day, I go back to the office. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. Walking through those doors feels like walking back into a burning building. The receptionist's eyes widen in surprise. Whispers follow me down the hall. I ignore them. I walk to my office, close the door, and sit down at my desk. An hour later, there's a knock on the door. It's him. He looks terrible. He hasn't shaved, and there are dark circles under his eyes. He looks like the guilty party. Clara, he says, his voice hoarse. Can we talk? We're at work, Mark, I say, not looking up from my screen. If it's about a project, send me an email. This isn't about a project. It's about us. There is no us, I say, my voice flat. There is the business. And right now, you're disrupting it. Please close the door on your way out. He looks stunned, then angry. This isn't the weeping, pleading woman he expected. You can't just shut me out, Clara. We have to sort this out. The lawyers. I don't want to talk about lawyers. I lie, my heart pounding. I want to do my job. The job you seem to have been neglecting while you were busy. I finally look at him. My gaze is so cold it makes him take an involuntary step back. He leaves, closing the door behind him. I let out a breath. I didn't realize I was holding. Round one to me. The next few weeks are a quiet, brutal war. We coexist in the office like two opposing generals. We communicate only through email and our assistants. The tension is palpable. The staff is divided, walking on eggshells. I can see them taking sides. Most of the senior staff, the ones who were there from the beginning, are loyal to me. They give me quiet, supportive nods in the hallway. The newer, younger ones, the ones Mark hired, gravitate towards him. And Amber, she's still there. He didn't fire her. The arrogance is breathtaking. She walks around the office like she owns the place, smirking at me when she thinks I'm not looking. I ignore her completely. To me, she doesn't exist. Meanwhile, Eleanor's investigator is digging. And what he finds is worse than I thought. Mark hasn't just been spending company money. He's been moving it, setting up shell corporations, siphoning funds into accounts I have no access to. He's been meeting with our biggest clients behind my back, trying to lay the groundwork to start his own firm and take them with him. He is systematically trying to dismantle the company we built, leaving me with a worthless husk. The report from the investigator lands on my desk like a tombstone. It's all there. Dates, times, account numbers. A detailed roadmap of his betrayal. It's devastating. Eleanor was right. He's not just a cheat, he's a con man. And I was his mark. The weight of it all crushes me. He's been planning this for years. He's covered his tracks so well. Eleanor says we have a case, but it will be a long, bloody, expensive fight. He's hidden the money so cleverly that it will take an army of forensic accountants to find it all. We could be tied up in court for years. I could lose everything. The house. The business. My reputation. I'm sitting in my office late one night, the investigator's report spread out on my desk, the words blurring through my tears. All seems lost. He's going to win. He's going to walk away with everything, and I'll be left with nothing but debt and a broken heart. The anger is gone, replaced by a cold, heavy despair. Maybe I should just give up. Sign whatever he wants. Let him have it all. Just so I can be free of him, of this pain. My phone buzzes.
It's Mary.
I've been ignoring her calls, but tonight I can't. I need to hear a kind voice. I answer. Clara? Oh, thank God, she says, her voice thick with relief and worry. I've been so worried about you.
I'm okay, E.
No, you're not, she says gently. And you don't have to be. What he did, it's monstrous. John and we haven't spoken to him since that night. He's not the man we raised, her voice breaks. I just want you to know, we are on your side. Always. You are our daughter. Do you hear me? Her words, her unwavering loyalty, are a balm on my shattered spirit. We talk for a long time. I don't tell her about the money, about the depth of his financial betrayal. I don't want to cause her more pain. But her support reminds me of what I'm fighting for. Not just for myself, but for the family that chose me. I hang up the phone, a renewed sense of purpose settling over me. I will not let him destroy me. I will not let him win. I stare at the files on my desk, at the complex web of lies and deceit he has woven. There has to be a mistake, a loose thread, something he missed. And then I remember. His legacy project, the one he'd been so secretive about. The one he'd been working on late at night, the one he said would set us up for life. I had assumed he meant our life. Now I know he meant his life. With her. He must have been using company resources for it. It was the one project he kept completely under wraps, even from me. The files weren't on our main server. He kept them on a private hard drive in his office. I look at the clock. It's almost midnight. The building is empty. The cleaning crew has come and gone. I stand up. I walk out of my office and down the silent, darkened hallway to his. My key card still works. The lock clicks open. His office is dark, the air stale. It smells of him. My stomach clenches, but I push the feeling down. I turn on his desk lamp. The room is filled with a soft glow. I look at his desk, his chair. The place where he sat and plotted the destruction of our life. I start searching. His drawers. His filing cabinets. Nothing. It's all work related to our official clients. Of course, he wouldn't be stupid enough to leave a paper trail. But the digital files, they have to be here somewhere. I find his private external hard drive tucked away in a locked drawer, one I know the key for because I bought him the desk for his birthday 2 years ago. My hands are shaking as I plug it into his computer. A password prompt appears. My heart sinks. Of course, it's password protected. I try the obvious ones. His birthday. My birthday. Our anniversary. The dog's name. Nothing. I feel a wave of despair. This is it. The end of the line. I sit there, staring at the screen, my mind racing. What would he use? Something meaningful to him, but not to us. Something from his new life. What was her name? Amber. I type it in. Access denied. Her birthday? I don't know it. Then I think about his ego. Mark always saw himself as a visionary, an artist. His legacy project, it was more than just a building to him. It was his monument to himself. I remember him talking about it once, a rare slip of the tongue after too much wine. He'd called it Olympus, a home for the new gods. It was so pretentious I had laughed at the time. My fingers hover over the keyboard. He always added a 1 to his passwords. I hit enter. Access granted. My breath catches in my throat. I click open the drive. And there it is. A single folder labeled Olympus. Inside are dozens of subfolders. Blueprints. Renderings. Financial projections. Contracts. It's a massive luxury condominium development on the waterfront. A project worth tens, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars. I scroll through the files, my eyes scanning the details. He's used our proprietary design software, the one we spent a fortune developing. He's used our templates, our contact lists for suppliers and contractors. He's even lifted entire design elements from the Kensington Tower project, my project. He's built this entire thing on the foundation of our company, Manning and Cole. And then I see the corporate documents. He's put the entire project under a new LLC. Olympus Properties, the sole owner, is listed as Mark Manning. He's been funneling the money he siphoned from our company into this one. He was building his own empire with our resources, planning to launch it after he'd bled our shared company dry and left me with the ashes. The sheer scale of the betrayal takes my breath away. He was going to leave me with nothing and walk away with $100 million project he built with my money and my work. I feel a surge of white-hot rage, followed by a wave of crushing defeat. This is it, the proof. But it's also the proof of how completely he has outmaneuvered me. He's hidden it all behind a new corporate veil. It would be my word against his. He would claim it was his own idea, his own work, done on his own time. I'm about to close the files, to admit defeat, when my eyes catch something. A small detail in one of the subfolders. It's a backup log from our main server. He must have been transferring files late one night and accidentally copied it over. It shows a list of every file created or modified on our company network with a timestamp and user ID. And it shows that the original concept files for Olympus, the very first sketches and models, were created on his work computer, using our company software license on our company server over a year ago. And then it hits me like a bolt of lightning. A memory from so long ago, I had almost forgotten it. It was when we were first drafting the articles of incorporation for Manning and Cole. We were young, idealistic, and terrified of being sued. Our lawyer, a cautious old man, had suggested a clause for our operating agreement. A clause to protect the company. I scramble back to my office. I tear through my files, my hands shaking with a new kind of energy. Adrenaline.
Hope.
I find it. The original corporate binder. I flip through the pages, my finger tracing the lines of dense legal text. And there it is. Article 4, Section 3. The Intellectual Property Clause. All inventions, designs, ideas, and works of authorship created by any partner, employee, or contractor using company resources, including but not limited to computer hardware, software, office space, or proprietary information, shall be the sole and exclusive property of Manning and Cole Designs, LLC. I read it once.
Twice.
3 times. A slow smile spreads across my face. It's not a happy smile. It's a feral, triumphant grin. He thought he was building his legacy. He thought he was building his new life with Amber. He thought he was building his escape route. But the whole time, the arrogant, sloppy fool was building it all for me. He funneled all of our company's resources, all of his talent, all of his stolen money, into a massive, glittering $100 million project that, according to the very rules he signed his name to, belongs, in its entirety, to Manning and Cole, the company I am about to own. He didn't just build his own prison. He gilded the bars. He handed me the key, and he has absolutely no idea. The final meeting is set for a Friday. A cruel, poetic justice I can't help but savor. It's not in a lawyer's office. It's in our main conference room, the one with the floor-to-ceiling glass wall overlooking the city. The room where we've celebrated our biggest wins. The room where we've toasted our future. Today, it will be the room where I end his. I arrive early. Eleanor is with me, her presence a calm, formidable anchor. My forensic accountant, a quiet man named David with eyes that miss nothing, is setting up a projector. We are ready. I've also done something Mark would never expect. I called John and Mary. I told them they needed to be here. I didn't tell them why, only that it was about the future of the family and the business. They were hesitant, but I insisted.
They need to see this.
They need to see the man their son truly is, not for my sake, but for theirs. They arrive first, their faces etched with worry. Mary pulls me into a hug. What is this, Clara? What's going on? You just need to listen, I say softly, squeezing her hand. I promise. It will all make sense soon. Mark arrives at 10 o'clock sharp. He walks in with his lawyer, a smug, overly tanned man who looks more like a game show host. Mark is brimming with a confidence that is almost painful to watch. He's wearing a new suit, an expensive watch. He thinks this is his victory lap. He thinks he's here to sign the papers that will finalize my pathetic buyout, freeing him to start his new life. He nods curtly at his parents, a flicker of annoyance in his eyes that they are here. He completely ignores me. "All right, let's get this over with," his lawyer says, dropping a thick folder onto the polished mahogany table. "We have a generous offer for Ms. Cole's shares in the company, contingent on her signing a comprehensive non-disclosure and non-compete agreement." Eleanor just smiles, a thin, dangerous smile. "We reject your offer," she says simply. Mark scoffs. "Don't be ridiculous, Clara. It's more than fair. You can't run this place without me." I don't look at him. I look at David, the accountant. "David, if you would." David nods and turns on the projector. The first slide illuminates the screen. It's a summary of the credit card statements, the hotels, the jewelry, the restaurants, the apartment lease. A timeline of his affair, painted in dollars and cents. Mark's face pales. His lawyer starts to bluster. This is irrelevant personal information, a desperate attempt to. "Is it?" Eleanor interrupts, her voice cutting through his like a razor. "Because these are company cards. That is called dissipation of marital assets."
At best.
At worst, she lets the words hang in the air. It's embezzlement. Mark is staring at the screen, his arrogance beginning to crumble. He looks at his parents. Mary has her hand over her mouth, her eyes wide with horror. John is staring at his son, his expression hardening into one of pure contempt. "Next slide, David," I say, my voice steady. The next slide shows the network of shell corporations. The flow of money from Manning and Cole's accounts into these anonymous entities. It's a complex web, but David has rendered it in a simple, devastating flowchart. It shows nearly $2 million of company money, our money, vanishing into thin air. Mark's lawyer is silent now. He's looking at his client with a new, worried expression. Mark is visibly sweating. "This is fraud, Mr. Manning," Eleanor says, her voice soft, but carrying the weight of a death sentence. Wire fraud, to be specific. That carries a rather hefty prison sentence. 20 years, I believe. Mark finally looks at me. His eyes are wide with panic and disbelief. "Clara, you wouldn't. Wouldn't I?" I ask, my voice devoid of emotion. "You were willing to leave me with nothing. You were willing to destroy me. So, yes, Mark, I would." I let the silence hang in the room for a long moment. I watch him squirm. I watch the life drain from his face. His parents are watching him too, their faces a mixture of shame and heartbreak. "But," I say, letting him grasp onto a sliver of hope, "perhaps there's another way." "David." The last slide. The final slide appears on the screen. It's a beautiful, breathtaking rendering of a glittering tower against the city skyline. The Olympus Project. Mark's eyes widen in sheer terror. He understands. "A beautiful design," I say, my voice conversational. "A real legacy project. Worth $100 million, according to your own projections. You've been very busy." "That's mine," he sputters, finding his voice. "I developed that on my own time. It has nothing to do with the company." "Doesn't it?" I ask. I nod to Eleanor. She slides a single piece of paper across the table to Mark's lawyer. It's a copy of Article 4, Section 3, the IP clause. His lawyer reads it. His face goes slack. He reads it again. He looks at Mark, then at Eleanor, then back at the paper. He slowly takes off his glasses and rubs the bridge of his nose. "Oh, Mark," he says, his voice a weary, defeated whisper. "As you can see," Eleanor says, picking up the narrative, "according to the operating agreement that both you and your client signed, the Olympus Project, having been developed using company resources, is the sole and exclusive property of Manning and Cole Designs." I finally turn and look directly at Mark. I let him see the cold, hard satisfaction in my eyes. "You spent the last year and $2 million of our money, building the single most valuable asset the company has ever had. So, I'd like to thank you for that. It was very thoughtful of you. He just stares at me, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. He can't process it. The trap he's so carefully built for me has snapped shut on him instead. So here is our counteroffer, I say, my voice ringing with finality in the silent room. You are going to sign over your half of the company, your shares, your voting rights, everything, to me. You are going to sign a document admitting to the dissipation of assets, which will make our divorce filing a very simple, clean process. You will walk out of this office with your personal effects and nothing else. In exchange, I will not press criminal charges for embezzlement and fraud. You have 1 hour to decide. His lawyer leans in and whispers furiously in his ear. Mark isn't listening. He's just staring at me, his world completely, irrevocably shattered. Then his gaze shifts to his parents. His mother is openly weeping now, not for him, but for the son she thought she had. His father just shakes his head slowly, a look of profound disappointment on his face. In that moment, Mark loses not just his wife, his company, and his fortune. He loses his family. He loses everything. He slumps in his chair, a broken man. I'll sign, he whispers. The aftermath is quiet. Not peaceful, but quiet. The signing of the papers is a somber, silent affair. Mark moves like a robot, his hand shaking as he signs away his life's work, his future.
He doesn't look at me.
He can't. When it's done, he walks out of the conference room without a word, his lawyer trailing behind him. He doesn't even look at his parents. The door closes, and he is gone. John and Mary stay. Mary comes to me, wrapping me in her arms. I am so proud of you, she says through her tears. You are the strongest person I know. John puts a hand on my shoulder, his eyes filled with a sad, deep respect. He made his bed, he says, his voice heavy. I'm just sorry he tried to burn yours down with him. In the weeks that follow, I dismantle Mark's life and rebuild my own. I change the locks on the house. I file for divorce, an uncontested, simple process thanks to the document he signed. I learned through the grapevine that Amber left in the day after the meeting. The moment the money was gone, so was she. A shock to no one but, perhaps, Mark. At the office, I call an all-hands meeting. I don't give them the sordid details. I simply announce that Mark Manning has resigned from the company to pursue other interests, and that I am now the sole owner and CEO. I rebrand the firm. It's no longer Manning and Cole. It's just Cole Designs. My name. My legacy. The Olympus project becomes my focus. I dive into it, rebranding it, reshaping it in my own image. It's no longer a monument to a man's ego. It becomes a symbol of my own rebirth. A project focused on community sustainability and beautiful, functional design. My work has never been better. I have never felt more clear, more powerful. There are hard days, of course. Nights when the ghosts of the past visit, when the phantom limb of my old life aches. The pain of his betrayal is a scar that will never fully fade. But it no longer defines me. It's a part of my story, but it's not the whole story. 6 months later, I'm standing on the construction site of the Olympus, my tower. I'm wearing a hard hat and steel-toed boots, the blueprints clutched in my hand. The foundation has been poured, and the first steel beams are rising up, reaching for the sky. The noise of construction is deafening, the roar of machinery, the clang of metal, the shouts of the workers. It's the sound of something new being built from the ground up. I look out at the city, at the skyline I am about to change forever. I think of that awful dinner, the moment my world fell apart. I think of the woman I was then, the woman who thought her life was over.
She was so wrong.
It was just the beginning. The silence on that construction site was louder than any argument we ever had. It was the sound of a future I built for myself, not on the ruins of my past, but on a foundation of my own strength. If this story hit close to home, I'd love to hear your version in the comments below. Thank you for being here with me. Subscribing helps bring more of these to life.